Всем привет! Меня зовут Уилл, и вы смотрите канал «Шекспир, плачет», рубрику «Учим английский» с Уиллом. Это эпизод номер 2. Если вы пропустили предыдущий эпизод, то жмите карточку в углу. Что за новая рубрика? Это еженедельное видео, минут на 10, на тему человеческих качеств. Новое качество в каждом видео. Это небольшое интро на русском, далее рассказ на английском о моих приключениях, ошибках и полученных уроках в бизнесе в России. Во время видео интересные слова и выражения будут показаны на экране. Если этого хватит вам, то отлично. Но если вы прямо учиться хотите, то можете подписаться на еженедельные вебинары, в которых я буду разбирать текст, слова и выражения этой недели вместе с вами. Получить доступ к вебинарам вы можете, став спонсором проекта на сайте sponsor.ru за 2000 рублей в месяц. Да, получается всего 500 рублей за вебинар. Ну что, поехали? Easygoing doesn't mean don't care. Uptight achievers frequently mistake a quality for an unrelated, undesirable personality fault. Not many years ago, let's say about 1 year ago, you could have levelled the charge at me of being irritable, perhaps even uptight. And you'd not have been wrong. You certainly wouldn't have thought of applying easygoing to me. Pleasant to be around might have been a bit of a stretch too, I blush to concede. I was the kind of person who'd let out a hissed, "Oh, for fuck's sake," when the tube I was on didn't move a second after I'd boarded it. The kind of merry chap who could sit through a 6-hour flight without once saying hello to the person sitting next to me. I didn't have time for such frivolities. Who the hell were they, anyway, to warrant my dull small talk? I'd complainingly join a queue or fill out a form, swearing and cursing at the stupidity of it all. I'd complain about not having the time in my life for this kind of rubbish. I always had lots of work to do, tons of different tasks in an endless, unconquerable list, usually not written down and only vaguely remembered. And boy, did it make me feel important. With my self-importance came the frustration with people's many flaws. As you and I know, Russia is a country with an epic bureaucracy, and you may not know, but Russia is also one of the countries with the lowest labour productivity rates in the developed world. The combination of these two factors means, in short, much time wasting. But worse than the time wasting was what it did to my state of mind, because I hated. I hated everyone and everything. How dare they? Who were these monkeys? I'd get sarcastic. I'd be angry. I'd get despondent, and worst of all, I'd stay that way for hours, all day if possible, perhaps even for a good few days, just to show them how much their stupid incompetence had ruined my life. It was hellish. The coaches I was working with at the time had been telling me for a couple of years by then that I needed to lighten up. Laugh a bit. Enjoy life. Be, dare I say it, easygoing. Their upbeat fooling around got on my nerves. I had turned to them to help me build my business, a serious matter. I needed furrowed brows and long, thoughtful silences. Instead, they'd start our session smiling and laughing, making jokes, mocking me for my serious face. When I'd bring up the big problems I had for the session, they'd ask a few perceptive questions, and when they'd established that my big problems were nothing other than fears for how things could turn out, they'd reply, "Oh, we'll deal with that problem if we ever come to it." This outraged me for quite some time, until I started to notice a pattern. The problems almost never emerged, and if they did, it was usually not in the form I'd expected, read feared. Did this mean I was a warrior? Warriors are not easygoing. They fear what fate will bring them, and so try to fight it at every turn. They're always in battle, irrespective of whether it's a battle worth fighting or not. I have gradually learned to have faith, and the more I have, the greater the rewards. This past week brought yet more proof of this. About 3 years ago, I met a documentary producer. Naturally, as a subtitle, I wanted to get him as a client. We spoke a bit, but it turned out he was making the documentary with his own money, he didn't have a budget, blah, blah, blah. Now, about 2 years ago, I went to Moscow on a business trip. I live in St. Petersburg. I had tried to get back-to-back meetings set up so as to make the most of my time there, but one afternoon, 2 of them fell through. I didn't have anywhere else to go, and the event I'd been at had just finished. And by chance, I saw that same documentary producer there. Now, remembering that I had been tasked by my coaches to relax a bit and talk to people extensively, to develop relationships, I figured I'd spend a few hours talking to this guy. We got on really well, but I made no sale whatsoever. And I left feeling like I'd had a nice chat, but that was it. I'd been ineffective. Since then, 2 years ago, I've thought of that meeting every now and then and swung between waste of time chattering and spent some quality time building a relationship. Now this week, it turned out that I'd been doing the latter. On his recommendation, an offshoot of the world's most prestigious film festival approached us with an order of 10 films for subtitling. This is huge, not only the prestige, but also the size of the order. For comparison, the average number of films per subtitling order is 1. So these days, I work at being easygoing. I'm no angel. I can still have to catch myself saying, oh, for fuck's sake. But the point is I catch myself. And I stop the distress express in its tracks by asking myself, interesting, that should happen. I wonder what could be in store. Now, being easygoing doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean being passive. It's having the wisdom to know which turns of fate to simply accept and which to fight with all your might. And you'll quickly see that if you can willingly accept the majority of them, you'll have a lot more fight left for the things that really matter. Here's a few things to do and consider. Try cutting these expressions out of your speech for a day. Oh, for fuck's sake. Why does this always happen to me? Can you believe it? Instead, substitute them for, interesting. I wonder where this will lead. After you've done that for a bit and cut those expressions out, can you substitute them for a gritty, guttural, lusty, bring it on? Do you have enough faith in life to embrace all of the downs and ups that come your way? Can you look for the lesson in them and make yourself better for next time, despite the sense of disorientation, pain or frustration? Good luck. Если вы хотите получить полный текст этого рассказа, лучше понять, о чем речь в этом видео, найти применение новым для вас выражениям и лучше понять, как переводить это все на русский красиво, то присоединяйтесь к нашему вебинару по ссылке в описании. Это будет в эту пятницу в 5 часов. Предыдущие вебинары тоже будут доступны по этой ссылке. А так ждите следующих видео о моих приключениях в бизнесе в России на следующей неделе. Пока.